Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about making words or nouns plural. That when you make a noun plural, there's two things that you can do. If a noun ends in a vowel, like libro, casa, or dia, as you can see, it ends in a vowel. Oops. You can see libro ends in O, casa ends in A, dia also ends in A. When a word ends in a vowel, you're going to add an S to it to make it plural. So libro becomes libros, and casa becomes casas, oops, and dia becomes dias, okay? And if a word ends in a consonant like país, ciudad, excursión, then you're going to add an es to the word to make it plural. So to make país plural, you add es and make it países. Ciudad ends in D, so you add es and make ciudades. Excursión ends in N, so you add an es and make excursiones. One thing that you want to notice, if words end, if a word carries an accent on its last syllable, like excursión, when you make it plural, you end up dropping the accent. And that's because if we look at the word excursión, excursión. Okay, so if words end in an N, S, or a vowel, they're supposed to get accented on their second to last syllable, and when that happens, we don't need to write in a written accent mark. We only write in a written accent mark when a word doesn't follow the grammatical pattern or the grammatical rule. So since excursión doesn't follow the rule, we want to say on louder than C, then I have to write in a written accent. Whoops. Okay? But when I make this word plural, excursiones. Now my word ends in S, so remember if a word ends in N, S, or a vowel, it's supposed to get accented on the second to last syllable. We still want our O to carry the stress, but now the O has shifted positions. It's moved from the last syllable position to the second to last syllable position, and that's why I don't need to write in the written accent mark. And this will happen for all words that are accented on their last syllable in their singular form. So for example, acción works the same way. That's why it becomes acciones. Additionally, just like in English, you can't add es to words that end in y. You have to change your y to an I and then add es. We have another spelling change in Spanish. It's z. Whenever a word ends in z, you're going to change the z to a c before you add the es. So they've shown you vos becomes voces. The word lápiz would become lápices. And you'll notice here that lápiz had an accent mark on its first syllable. So when I make it plural, I still keep the accent mark. It's only the ones that are accented on their last syllable in the singular form that would drop their accent when made plural. Another one would be luz. That would become luces. So just remember that Spanish doesn't like to have Z's next to E's. So when you end up with a Z next to an E, change it to a C before you add ES. Also, everything agrees in Spanish. So if you are using any types of adjectives to describe a noun, all of those, and the noun gets made plural, or it's a plural noun, then all of your adjectives are also going to be plural. So it's saying these books are very interesting. Both these and interesting describe books. Because books is plural, you have to use the demonstrative adjective that's plural as well as make interesting plural. But here you have, you're saying this city is very interesting, then you keep it singular, okay? So let's do a little bit of practice, making words plural. We're going to change the following nouns from the plural to the, from the singular to the plural. So we have primo, which ends in O. That is a vowel, so you would just add S. It would be primos. Wait a minute, let me go back. Looks like there's a little messy. Primos. Español ends in a consonant, so you would add ES, and it would be españoles. And remember that the tilde, that is not an accent mark, so it's going to stay the same whether the word is singular or plural. Página ends in a vowel, and its accent is on the first syllable, so we're going to keep the accent, and then we just add the S, páginas. Universidad ends in a consonant. I'm going to do this one up here because I think this blank is not big enough. I'm going to add an ES. Pizarra ends in a vowel, so I just add an S. And profesor ends in a consonant, so I add an ES. Profesores, okay? All of these are singular. We want to make them plural. Just like I was talking about the adjectives before. Articles, anything that modifies the noun, that describes the noun further, gets changed to match the noun. So if the noun gets made plural, then the article gets made plural. So if I have, the notebook, I'm going to use the notebooks. I'm going to use the plural the. If I had the red notebook, then I'm going to have the red notebooks, but my red now has to be plural as well. So just remember, anything that describes the noun, be it an adjective, or an article, it's going to have to agree with the noun. So if the noun gets made plural, anything describing the noun also needs to be made plural. So for example here, el cuaderno, cuaderno ends in O, so if I make it plural, I'm going to make it cuadernos, and then the masculine plural the is los. So I'm going to change el to los and cuaderno to cuadernos. Okay, I want to go from one watch to some watches. So I'm going to make reloj plural, and I'm going to make my a watch some watches. Unos reloj ends in a consonant, so I add an ES. Unos relojes. Una silla, so I'm going to change it from a chair to some chairs. I'm going to make that una plural, unas, and I'm going to make sillas plural. El lápiz, los lápices. Un papel, unos papeles. La lección, las lecciones. Oops. Oh, whoops. And then again, I take off this accent mark. This accent mark is in the first syllable, so I leave it. This accent mark was on the last syllable, so when I make it plural, I've shifted the position of my O. Here, when I make it plural, my A is in the first syllable, lápiz. When I make it plural, it's still in the first syllable, lápices. But down here, I actually shifted my O, and so I can leave out the accent, because when I make it plural, then it starts following the grammatical rule for the accent marks.